I knew it was a risk worth taking, but I didn't fucking care. I was just so hungry for it.
One thing that I said to Gemma, I said I'd rather go bankrupt.
I've never, ever, ever met someone that matches my give a fuck what anyone else thinks kind of attitude.
Obviously, we're a business and we want to be profitable, but at the same time, we want to really be able to make impact on people's lives.
What happens when two recruiters decide to bet everything on themselves inside the global pandemic? This week on The Rag, I sat down with Chris Mapp and Gemma Downing-Mapp, the husband and wife powerhouse team behind Mixos Recruitment. Their story is not your typical agency setup. Chris started as a floor fitter. He was laying floors all over Holiday Inn hotels all over the UK. He then fell into recruitment, as we all do, and launched his own agency. And he's pretty open about the first 2 years being a complete lifestyle business working from home. Gemma was smashing it. She was 11 years into her career and was running her own agency with a friend and was making serious money and building something for the future. Then they started dating, and they made a decision over cocktails in Mallorca that changed everything. So in this episode, we break down why they decided to merge their businesses right in the middle of the global pandemic. They did this at the same time as blending their families, both married, divorced, with children, bringing it all together at the exact same time. How they've grown sustainably from 2 to 15 people in that period of time and never, ever undercutted their fees. How they're now getting rookies to do 50k quarters inside 6 months by obsessing over process and service more than fees and cash and KPIs. And how they've built a 350-person community in their local area of talent and HR professionals that's driving warm leads, and they're less reliant on banging the phones and traditional methods. And finally, why they would rather go bankrupt than compromise on their standards. What I love about these guys is they've got a very modern outlook, but with traditional values. That they still meet every single client face to face. They won't take a job without seeing a client's office. And they've created a financial guarantee that most agencies wouldn't even dare offer. So if you want to know what building a team based on premium service and the highest standards in our industry looks like in 2025, then this is the episode. Gemma, Chris, welcome to the Rag Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Like I said before, you're the first guest that I've just thought you completely copy me and go with the brick and the neon. Yeah,
love
exposed
it.
Brick and neon. It does. I might be biased, but I really do like the style of your stuff going on in the background, guys.
It just pops.
Before we come on air, I should basically have a Hopser t-shirt on, right?
You should. Well, guys, we've been chatting about this now for a couple of months. I'm glad was it early September, Gemma?
Yeah.
Me and you first?
Yeah, that's right.
So I think we started talking about May, June before the summer, and then it all just slowed down. So I'm really excited to finally get the time to do this with you guys. And I'll start with you, Gemma. If you can just give us a quick bird's eye overview of the business today. I don't want the story. I just want how many people, where you're based, what you do, that kind of stuff. And then I want to go back and navigate the story of how you've got to where you are.
There's currently 15 of us. That spans across delivery perm, delivery temp, and then 360 perm. 360 temp, myself and Chris at the helm, got an ops director and a lady that picks up all things projects, EA, and so on and so forth. So we've grown the team massively, really, since I came on board. So Chris originally started Mixos and we were called Somnium at the time. I was kind of behind the scenes. I'm not sure if you know this actually, Sean, but I was kind of behind the scenes. I had my own recruitment business going on and I was helping Chris set up. We were like in the dating era and I helped him set up Somnium. And then a couple of years in, when we hit the pandemic, we'd already decided to go into business together. So yeah, I cut my losses, sold my shares, gave up my directorship and just went all in with Chris. And then we just hit this global pandemic and I was like, what the hell? But you know what? It's never going to be a good time. So we just went with it.
So yeah, that obviously your first business, Gemma, we had your surname in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And, Fossil down, and we'll go into that. And then you went from Somnium to Mixos. That sounds like two Greek cities or something. Like it's like I'm traveling, I'm going from Somnium to Mixos, two Greek islands. But
a lot of people say that. Yeah, we went through a major rebrand 18 months ago. So I came in 2 years in, we're 7 years now. And we were just like, it didn't feel right. People struggled to say it, struggled to remember it. We didn't but since the rebrand, and my God, me and Chris are like detailed to the nth degree. I think, the people that rebranded us are probably happy to see the back end of us because we were like this.
So did they come up with the name Mixos then?
No, we come up with a whole concept. We always wanted that neon, that pop in, that vibrant, that very bold, brave, unapologetic branding. But we just couldn't find it. We knew what we wanted. When you've got this vision just not quite getting there. We went back and forward and back and forward and back and forward, and all of a sudden, bam, we got it. And then we've just gone all in with our branding. And I have to say, the brand is strong and it's out there, and we've done a lot of PR behind the scenes and things like that, but I'm really happy with how it's come out. And I think the kind of strap line beneath it all is around Edie and I, and Chris and I, both born and bred Luton, grew up there. And for us, it was about seeing recruitment through a completely different lens from every aspect, from from how you advertise to how you onboard to how we take our people on and train them within the business and things like that. So it's been a rapid and aggressive 18 months. We're based in Eversholt. I know that was one of your questions. So we perfectly pitched our offices somewhere in between our 3 target areas of our customer base, which is Milton Keynes predominantly, Luton, Bedford, and kind of like Dunstable area, a little bit of Leighton Buzzard. But we're literally 20 minutes from everywhere. When it was a strategic move, we didn't want to be high street. We both kind of come from that. We didn't want to have a high street setup. We wanted to have really nice. We've got converted barn offices, as you can see, the exposed brick. It's mega in here. It's wicked. And, we've converted the space to make it not only kind of high performance and real kind of dynamic there, but also it's just a nice space for people to get out and grab some fresh air. We've got like sheep. If I look out my window, there's like sheep and all sorts roaming around. So sometimes forget where you are.
Yeah, for sure. So Chris, how would you describe what you guys actually do? So you got temp and perm, great, but what is it? What do you recruit?
Yeah, from your perspective, it'd probably be like a generalist, I guess. So your head office commercial white collar roles. And then around 2 years ago, we launched an industrial and warehouse desk. I think just because where we're based geographically, don't know if you know the M1 corridor from kind of Junction 10 Luton up to kind of Northampton has become a bit of a warehouse logistic hub. They're just throwing massive warehouses everywhere. So we kind of had a few.
Is that where the big Amazon is? Is that there?
Yeah, there's a big
yeah.
There's, you name it, they're here. John Lucas, so on and so forth. And a couple of our clients about 2-3 years ago were like, we need a temp. And I, in my career before starting Somnium, Mixos, I was a top performing perm villa, and the thought that admin and all of the process that went alongside temp was not exciting for me. And Gemma was like, Chris, we really need to go into temp. So we just kind of dipped our toe, had 1 temp, had 2 temp, had 3 temps, had 4 temps. And then before you know it, we were like, we're kind of sitting in the perfect location to be able to, deliver to our clients. So we launched that desk, and then the last 2 years, it's kind of just taken off from there. So we've got the 2 separate divisions, and then, like Gemma said, 2 separate roles, but it's a geographical for us.
So when you say generalist, it's geographically specialist, though, right?
Yeah. Geographic.
Yeah. I still think that's specialism. I think there's a misconception out there of like generalist specialist. Like I always say, if you can explain clearly what it is you actually do, you're more of a specialist. If you can just say, I recruit anyone, anywhere, and there are people who recruit anyone, anywhere, I'm like, how the hell do you start? Whereas if you're like, we know the regions, we know the types of organizations, I imagine it's about landing and expanding within customers for you, right?
100%. Yeah. Exactly. So when Gemma come on board 5 years ago now, and just rewinding a little bit, when we started, so when me and Gemma were dating, and she had her own agency and I started Somnium, Mixos, and the one rule was like, you don't come into my patch, and her one was Milton Keynes. So I, in the background, had some existing clients from London, because I worked in London for 4 years, and also a handful of businesses in Luton and Bedford. So when Gemma sold her shares and kind of give us free reign to the city in Milton Keynes, but also still building on Luton and Bedford, it just kind of matched really well. And then I think since then the growth's just really taken up. But yeah, absolutely geographical specialists. We're big on community, we're big on giving back, charity, all that corporate special responsibility stuff, and it's something that we're really passionate about. It's not just about, obviously we're a business and we want to be profitable, but at the same time we want to really be able to make like impact on people's lives. And I think, like Gemma touched on it earlier, coming from Luton, it's the most diverse town in the whole of Britain. So to be able to give people opportunities, when I think back to my story before I got into recruitment and where I was in my life and where I am now, I just needed that one opportunity, and thankfully someone gave it to me. So I think
Can we start there then? Where were you in your life before you got into recruitment?
Yes, I was actually a floor layer. So I worked for a family-run business, but we we had the contract for Travelodge hotels around the UK. So we'd do all of the flooring for Travelodge.
Right.
But I was a bit of a wide boy, used to go out a lot. And, my ex-partner who I've got 2 children with, I was always working away and, living life in the fast lane, no real kind of care and responsibility.
You could probably lay a floor pretty hungover, couldn't you? Without worrying about it.
Used to do that a lot, yeah. But yeah, no, so, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was good times. And I think like it taught me a lot of good lessons. But, kind of someone mentioned to me, have you ever thought about getting into sales? And I was like, but no, not really. And they were like, mate, you'll be great in recruitment. So then I just looked into it, managed to get my first job in central London 4 years ago, had rapid progression in a large corporate. And then that's when Gemma and I crossed paths and then started Somnium. And then, like they say, the rest is history. So,
okay. So where were you we'll talk about your journey in a minute, Gemma. Where were you, Chris, when you met Gemma? Were you already a founder or not?
No, so I worked in central London for 3 years and then I had a bit of a life-changing moment. I won't go into it too much, but long story short, my brother's son got stabbed 7 times.
Oh my God.
He was 16 at school going through his GCSEs, went for a fight at the park and someone pulled a knife out on him. And long story short, I was like, early mornings, late nights in London, I was like, nah, F this, I want to come
Did
back.
he survive that?
Yeah, he survived. He survived. He's all good.
Wow.
Bless him. He's all good.
Wow.
He's all good.
What an incredible...
It was just kind of like, do you know what? I was living in the rat race. I was out every night. I wasn't really seeing my kids much. I was just living that London dream as such. And it was just a bit of a time for me to reflect. So the next day I handed my notice in. I was like, I'm leaving. They were like, you can't leave. We'll find you somewhere closer to home. And they said, go and meet with our Milton Keynes manager. And I was like, all right, cool. But I don't think I'm going to want to do it. So I think it was like 2 days later, I went and Gemma was the operations manager.
Really?
Yeah, Gemma was like...
Gemma was the one you went...
The real boss.
The big dog. The big dog.
So a little bit at Gem, she was like, yeah, kind of, I think it could work, but, you've had rapid progression where you was, blah, blah, blah. You can have a job here, but I need you to stay for 2 years. And I was like, yeah, I'll definitely stay for 2 years. So I come in, had a bit of a warm desk, which was unheard of for me because in London, I was building scratch desks, done it 3 years in a row, done really well building new desks. So I had a warm desk, which I actually creamed and I was buzzing, had some amazing quarters. And then my regional director at the time was like, why don't you take this operations manager job over in Cambridge? And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Massive pay rise, company car. I was like, yeah, 100%, I'll take that. And I just went over there and it was an absolute shit show. Like I probably wasn't prepared for what I was getting myself into. It was a really good, top performing perm biller. There was a hungry salesperson to then go in and take over a team that was kind of on its arse and not before.
So this still working for the same company then?
Yeah, same company. Yeah.
So you were an operations manager in one office and then he went to do the same job in another one?
Basically, I left and then Gemma had the hump with me, didn't talk to me. So I went to another...
Were you dating at this point?
No.
No.
Absolutely
How long
not.
did you work together before you dated?
Sure, Chris, you don't mind me sharing this. Chris has played football all of his life. He turned up in a pair of Havaianas with battered big toes. His wing mirror had fallen off his car. I was like, these lot have sold me a dream in London. Like, what have they given me? And then I started to take him around. He started to work his charm on the clients. And like you said, he did walk into a well-established desk. So he did really well. We just set our budget for the new year. You know what it's like as an ops manager, you write in this person into the story. And all of a sudden, someone flashes an opportunity and he's like, boom. And the worst of it is they said, Gemma, will you come to Cambridge and train Chris up? And I was like, absolutely fucking not.
Yeah, so then
you're not manager, not in that business. Again, it can mean different things in different companies. Was it not a billing role at all then?
Well, do you know what? To be honest,
to a degree, yeah, it was. Well, in Milton Keynes, I was a billing manager, but I think where Chris went, it was such a shit show. He had to recruit from scratch. He had and Cambridge is a really different market. Anyone that's working in the Cambridge market will know this. It's it's university led, isn't it? And it's very interlinked. So Chris is used to knocking on doors in London and stuff like that. It's a totally different market.
I think at that time in my career, Sean, I was still, I wouldn't say I was commercially minded in the sense of the operation. All I cared was the amount I had to build to know what commission I was going to get. So I just waltzed in, like still being a bit of a class clown, like kind of, center of attention, having a lot myself too seriously. Walked in there and I was like, what am I? So yeah, I was there for 9 months. If I'm being honest, it was an absolute car crash. So why I decided to start Somnium, I never know. But yeah.
So you started your own business off the back of potentially failing as a leader of others.
I took kind of 6 months out. I went into a national sales director role for a sports clothing brand.
Oh, wow.
That was quite cool. And I just went on a meeting. I went on 2 or 3 meetings with the owner, and these guys were doing like 20, 30 million turnover a year. And like, he was so uninspiring in meetings. And I thought, mate, if this guy can run a 20, 30 million pound business, like, what am I doing? Like, and he would barely let me talk to the meeting. I just thought, I'm just not born to work for someone else. Because although recruitment, you're working for someone else, when you're running your own desk, essentially you are running your own business. So at the time, and then Gemma and I this is like a couple of years later, Gemma and I were back in contact and we've been out for a few drinks and stuff. She had her own agency with our old regional director, and she was like, mate, why are you flogging a dead horse? Because I was like, should I get into property? Should I do this? Should I do that? She's like, but you're awesome at recruitment. Like, get back into recruitment. I was like, oh. So yeah, in the first 2 years, just kind of made a few.
Okay, so let's just pause there a sec. So I'm just working out the dates in my head because I've got rid of my LinkedIn tab.
I feel like we're in a relationship psychologist session or something.
You thought this was about recruitment. This got nothing to do with recruitment. I just like to have a bit of fun with you. But no, so if you joined in October 2020, Gemma, then let's say 2018 is when you launched the business.
Yeah.
You were 16, 17 for your business, Gemma. So what made you, so while he's gone off doing his thing in a different office and then he's gone and worked for a clothing brand, why did you quit and start your own agency with somebody else?
So I always had it in my head from the age of 19. It's quite bizarre. I wasn't particularly academic, went to school, did okay, couldn't wait to see the back end of it. Managed to get a scholarship in a highly acclaimed stage school in London, and I trained there for 3 years. It was absolutely dog eat dog, and it's primed me massively for the recruitment industry because it's pretty much the same. I did that for 3 years, absolutely loved it, but I had 3 jobs, and I loved the freedom it gave me. As an 18-year-old, it enabled me to just do things and go places that my friends could only dream of. And I wasn't out on the lash all the time. I was pretty sensible, to be fair, really well wired up. And then I got a recruitment job at the age of 19. I went into retail for a little while, worked my way up at London Luton Airport within the kind of retail field. And I thought, there's definitely more to it than this. So I started working in the roughest street in Luton. Anyone that's listening from Luton, Chapel Street, it's literally like the most renowned place for all sorts goes on there. But that was my first recruitment job, and I absolutely loved it. The hustle, the bustle. I run a temps desk, I run a perms desk. I remember our FD at the time, it was very old school back then. He was like hit your numbers basically and I'll get you a pair of Chanel shoes. And I was like, Chanel, that's for grannies. Like, I'm 19, like, make it Gucci and you've got yourself a deal. So I smashed it, and fair play to him, he took me to Selfridges. And then I loved that I was just able to then buy my own bag. And I don't need someone to buy me this. Like, I know that if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to smash my goals. And then that just gives me, a lifetime of freedom, basically. As Chris said, you're not working for someone else. If you're really, truly good at what you do and you care, the world's your oyster. So I did that, and I was really loyal to the same organisation. I worked for Impellium Group for 11 years of my career. So I was in Luton. We then merged with Blue Arrow, did a little stint there, did a bit of warehouse, temp, perm. Then I went over to Watford and did perm. And I was each time top biller in the role that I was in. Smashed the London City and London West End branch out of the park. And at that time, I just launched a temp desk in Hemel. Hemel Hempstead was not known at all for having a good, solid temp division. And I just cleaned up. There was a huge industrial estate there, and I cleaned up with all of their customer service and administration temps. Back then, none of it was offshore or anything like that. And I went off, got married, come back. Then I applied. I was like, what's next? And, someone threw me a bone. And it was an operations manager of Milton Keynes. And I was like, I haven't got a clue. I don't know about P&Ls. I was terrible at maths at school. The team were not very good, but I just went in there with like the mindset that I was going to make it my own. So I had to get a few out and a few in, and just went on literally just went on a mission to win new accounts. And pretty much since then, I've just had a bit of a legacy in Milton Keynes, to be fair. I went off and had my little boy at the age of 29, and I was on mat leave, and I was just the entrepreneurial flair in me. I was trying to dabble in this, dabble in that. I literally sold the contents of my house on, like, back then it was eBay, it's Vinted now, isn't it? And I was like, I just couldn't sit still. Like, I loved being off and I loved having that year with Teddy, but I knew that I wasn't going to return under the roof of someone else. So I already had the cogs were going. I pitched the idea to my regional director at the time, who I'm still very close with to this day. And I just said to her, let's do it. And so obviously she was super strategic. So for her, it was a pretty big jump. Probably for me, it was a massive risk, because at the time, I was going through a divorce. So my son was 2.5, was going through a divorce. Wow. I'd left all sense of stability that I knew, from the house that I'd worked hard to buy, through to a stable relationship, through to a job that I'd held down for 11 years. Everything, company car, the whole lot went, and I started from scratch. But I didn't fucking care. I was just so hungry for it.
So at this point, you and this lady that you'd worked with start this new business. You've got, you say, a 2.5-year-old son.
Yeah.
And you're getting divorced.
Yeah.
So there's another common theme in this room, I think. We're all step parents. We've all been divorced. We've all got neon signs on brick walls, right? So I was going through divorce in 2020, and it was like, I don't know about you guys, but like, when something so major is going on in your life, you kind of I leaned into work even more.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize, like, I don't know, the damage that was doing at times, because I was just like trying to sweep things under the carpet by work. And then it got to the point with me where, for the first time in my life, I was like I was going on like long walks with my dog at like 7 a.m., 6 a.m. And it was summer 2020 in the pandemic. And I was just before you guys set up together. Mm-hmm. For the first time, I was like, I don't think I want to work today. And my mind is processing the shit that I've been through in this relationship.
Yeah.
And then I've suddenly got to jump on camera or jump on a call and be Mr. Energy. And I was doing a podcast a day for the recruitment market because of the pandemic.
It's a lot.
So I did 60 podcasts in 60 days while my relationship was falling apart. It was painful. It was hard. But I look back and think, I'm grateful of it. I'm just really grateful for those experiences. Like, they're tough, but they do shape you into someone.
Yeah, 100%. Right? I remember like living in Chris is talking. I'm talking. This happens a lot.
I was just going to say that one of the things that I remember during that time was when we joined forces. A lot of people, like our parents and stuff, obviously we both had stable jobs that were pretty well paid, stuff like that. They were like, well, you know, you're going to throw that all away, and what if it don't work? And we were both just like, what if it does? And they were like, yeah, no, but you've worked so hard. And I was like, yeah, but in 6 months, if we ain't made any money, we'll just go back to corporate. Like, it's not a big deal. And they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, and I'm like, I don't know. It's just like,
that's the difference with an entrepreneur, though. That's the difference in an entrepreneur.
Literally, I
started Hoxo with my best mate. So actually, there was 2 of my best mates. And one was from school and one's from uni. And me and Amma had worked together and lived together and traveled together. And we knew each other inside out as adults. Me and Mark had been at school together. So we knew each other from the age of like 11 to 16. He had the marketing experience and we were the recruiters. And that was where the initial idea came from. And everyone was like, what a mistake. Now, it turned out my best mate from school wasn't a good move. And we ended up buying him out 2 years later. And, it ended well. But like you, what was the worst that could happen? All right, we had to go through that.
You have to.
So take me to where I don't want to go through the detail of your previous company too much, Gemma, because I want to get right into this business. But where were you at the point when you two had this? You dating or whatever? When was the spark that you went? Why are we not just combining?
This is a good story, Sean.
I thought it might be.
Who's
telling it?
I'll take.
Go on, then,
Gemma. Basically, right. I'll give you, do you know what? For all the amazing things that are kind of going on now with the business and where we are, there has been some real tough times. And I won't go into too much detail, but long story short, in the first 2 years, Gemma's business, like Gemma had already had established her business, but the first 2 years, mine was Somnium / Mixos was a little bit of a lifestyle. You know, I was kind of, you might say, living the dream 9 till 5.
You're basically laying carpets again, but as a recruiter.
In my pants, watching Sky Sports News, doing 2-3 deals a month. Nah, I'm joking. But basically, I always knew I wanted someone to work with and someone that I could rely on. So actually, I hired my brother.
Right.
And my brother come to work with me. So just to give you some background, my brother, he's like the most laid back guy ever. He's like a surfer dude, like vest and shorts and flip flops, and like just wasn't the right role for him. Right. And then we opened up a London office. So just off Oxford Street, my old operations manager that took the first chance on me in recruitment. And if I'm really honest, like neither of them were right, but I was just crying out for someone to support me because I had all of these kind of ideas and bringing on lots of new clients and just couldn't.
What kind of money were you making?
I wouldn't say loads. Maybe a couple $100,000 a year, something like that.
It's not bad though, is it? On your own, it's not just a good
I
life.
was bringing them in to try and help me to scale up. And then the pandemic hit, and obviously, you know, I had to get bounced back home to survive, and I had to let my operations manager go, who unfortunately no longer talks to me. And I had like an 8-9 year relationship with her. She could give me my first chance on recruitment. So it has been tough. But then basically, long story short, my brother went back to his old job, and then it was just me again. And like Gemma and I obviously were in early stages of dating, and I was like, I just kept on saying all the time, like at the dinner table, like obviously her company's flying and I was just a startup, and I just kept on saying like, wouldn't it be good if we done it together? And she was like, yeah, whatever, I like. And like dropping it in. And then one day,
David and Goliath.
Yeah. One day we was on holiday in Mallorca with Gemma's mum and her stepdad. And I think we'd had a few cocktails, and I was like, I think you should just fucking join me, man. This is bullshit. Like, you got all of these existing clients. You're working with Bianca. You're on different paths. Bianca's like, her husband's retired. They've got like a few properties and stuff. It's more of a lifestyle. Like, we're both ambitious. We're both driven. I think we'd get on. And then she just went, Chris, you know what? I'm sick and tired of you talking about it. She's like, if you're fucking serious, then shut up and we'll sit down and talk about it. Not stop fucking talking about it. And I was like, she's interested. She's actually considering it.
Did you not think of bringing Chris into your business instead? Because it was already performing.
No, because Bianca and I were on separate missions. Like she's one of my top 5 friends now still, so she won't mind me sharing. But as Chris said, husband's retired from police force. They've got property. For her, she'd always had these really high-powered, high-pressured roles. And you know what? It was like we'd reversed roles. I literally beat the hell out of the streets. Like, I was just the passion and the fire in my belly was there. Literally wind me up and off I go. Whereas she fell in love with recruiting. Like, she would actually get so engrossed in the roles, and she really enjoyed that part of it. And like, I guess to a degree, there's only so far you can go with that. She really also enjoyed having the lifestyle and the switch off. She's comes from a big Italian family. Like, family is everything. And we were on 2 different journeys. But meanwhile, I'm like single mum, like the situation with leaving work. Also, I forgot to say that my dad at the time had leukemia and was going through chemo. And I am like the closest thing to him. My parents split when I was 12. So when you say like that is a driver for you, mate, I don't know how many parking tickets, speeding tickets. I nearly lost my license. I was literally running on nothing. And I was flying from business to my dad in the hospital, getting bloody ticket. Like, it was just mental. But I knew
this is a very changed. Some things haven't changed.
I bet.
I thought this was going to chirp up.
This was a very I mean, it probably still is, and we'll ask. That's the second question. But pre-pandemic, this would have been all face to face, right? You would have been driving, coming into every office of every business, and so you're always on the road, and it's pretty chaotic. So you two you're not living together at this point.
What point are we talking about when we joined?
When he's had that, when you had the cocktails on holiday, are you going back to living together? Or?
Yeah.
I mean, living, but more me camping at your house, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. And then we finally, we rented together first just to make, because I sold my house. Obviously it was new. We were blending a family. You know what that's like, Sean. That's like, it's really tough. There's no manual to that, right? It's one of the hardest things.
How many kids have you got, Chris? 2?
Yeah, I've got 2 older children. So my daughter's 20 and my son's 16. Yeah. Yes.
And how old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 39.
39, same as me. So you were young then when you had your first, right? Really young. Yeah. And And then yours is now what, 5?
10. Teddy's 10. Yeah.
10. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I'm thinking 2.5 years into the business. All right. So he's 10. Right. So yeah. So you've got, my kids are like 12, 10 and 2. So we're a little bit at the bottom end. So
Behind
yours
you.
are growing up now and doing different
Yeah.
things and probably not needing you as much.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's fast forward to when you started the business, right? So you take the plunge, you negotiate out with Bianca,
Yep.
and then you're like, right. So then what does day one look like? There's just 2 of you. How do we take that on?
Well, it wasn't 2 of us. We had Chris's brother still for a short period of time.
I did.
But then obviously that we parted ways. It was mad though. We were renting, right? We'd been through like crazy trauma at each ends of our life ourselves, but we still took out a bounce back loan to keep Chris's brother afloat and his own mortgage, and like we were barely surviving ourselves. It was the craziest year of our life. I know a lot of people found the pandemic hard, but to take such a big risk in such a vulnerable point of life in the world, like you would never have said when we were born that this would ever happen in our lifetime. I think to do that and then to physically have to help someone else survive as well. I mean, it was tough going, but I think eventually it was just me and Chris after a few months went past, and we just locked horns. We had to pivot initially in pandemic. We did a little bit of construction just to really keep invoices coming in. But one thing we did was stay true to us. Like, we didn't just kind of take anything that come our way, including fees and, undercutting and things like that, as tough as it was. And as we started to come out of the pandemic, there was so many agencies out there just throwing deals on the table to try and lock in clients, for an exclusive agreement. And it was becoming desperate. And I think we just kept rising. And still to this day, we didn't grow our business on undercutting to try and get a foot in the door. We've never really been given a leg up or anything like that. We don't come from families with business. We've literally grafted for every single thing. We just back to basics, Sean. Is literally like, I remember we went to like a log cabin in Wales or somewhere like that. And I was doing a vision board with the guys a couple of months back. And I pulled out one of my old to share with them. And it was actually a piece of crumpled paper from a little country pub that we went to. As we started to sort of move out of the pandemic a little bit, we went to one of these log cabins, went for dinner, Sunday roast, and then we wrote down some goals, and it's actually ridiculous. We desecrated the goals. They were like a 5-year plan. Within 2 years, we'd smashed them.
Let's go back then. What was on that list?
Well, there was some personal stuff and some business stuff. So it was like, we wanted to buy a house. That was like the main thing. We wanted to like have a base for the children. I think from kind of my side, I kind of flitted from when I split up with my ex. I'd lived in like 4 or 5 different places with mates, then on my own, and then with family. And, so I really wanted to get like a foundation of security for my children. So that was absolutely kind of the main thing. And thankfully we managed to get one, and we're still in it now. It's amazing. Just some like financial goals as well. Like, we wanted to bill a certain amount. I can't remember the exacts, but I know it was like grow it to £1 million turnover, or whatever that might look like, just little things like that really. And hire a first member of staff, and get a second and third member of staff, and then get an office, and just really start to, you might look at it like baby steps, but one of the things I always wanted was to buy a certain car, and just little things like that really. And at the time when we written down, I remember sitting in the pub thinking, well, this is never going to happen, but I'll roll with this, and we'll see where we're at. And then
So Gemma, might be a difficult question to answer, but being honest, like what did you see when you entered the business, and what did you want to change?
Okay, so firstly, I just knew it was right pocket, left pocket. I knew that at the point of the serious conversation, that I was serious enough in the relationship with this other human being and integrating our families to know that I could entrust. I've never, ever, ever met someone that matches my ambition, drive, passion, resilience, give a fuck what anyone else thinks kind of attitude. Like, there is no one out there that matches me like that. So I thought, it was a risk to me to walk away from what I'd already built with my previous co-owner, but I knew it was a risk worth taking, and I'm confident enough in myself to know that I could go back to scratch. I left my business very gracefully and I didn't want to take anything, but it resulted in Bianca to say, look, let's split the database. You've done all the donkey work in bringing a lot of it in. Like, let's split it. And still to this day, touch wood, we're on really good, amicable friendship terms. But I came into the business. One of the first things that I presented to Chris, well, firstly, I turned the terms of business upside down, and payment terms were, a bit lengthy, and all of that. I think the fees were always negotiated like premium, but there was some mad payment terms going on. So that was all 7 days maximum on perm. The second thing I looked at was introduction of a temp division, and I knew there was a lot of, me and Chris are very similar in that we both, the faff, the admin, the complexities, the processes and all of that, we are like visionary. We know what we want, but we kind of need people to help us execute it, and the detail and all the bitty stuff that takes a lot of brain capacity. We're like, have the ideas. So I knew how valuable a temp division would be to our business just by starting with one. We were doing everything, Sean, from bringing in the business to filling the bookings to payroll and the sorting out the queries, like everything. And like, I knew it weren't sustainable, but I knew we were onto something really good. So once we kind of got it off the ground, we got a temp consultant, and then from there we've now got a division of four people on our temp division, which is pretty good because we only dropped that. I would say like I was maybe, the thought process was there, but like a good 6 to 12 months in the business, and then we launched temp.
So what was 2021 like? Because most of the industry, and I don't know if your sector was different, but most of the industry predicted a complete crash, and then it was an amazing couple of years. So actually, for a lot of people starting in late 2020, it was a masterstroke. Like, it was two of the best years in the history of recruitment was 21 and 22.
Yeah.
Did you see the same?
So the pandemic, like Gemma mentioned, we kind of, I remember kind of sat there. We'd just come back from Krakow, didn't we, Jem? We went to Poland.
Yeah.
My brother was here. I think we had like $100,000 job box, and we was getting a phone call every 10 minutes like, oh, they dropped this job. And I was like, mate, I've only left you for like 3 days. You're like basically up our whole business. Like, what are you doing? And got back and the tap had been turned off. And I remember Gemma and I sitting there thinking, what are we going to do? So we literally kind of scouted out building sites within 50 miles of our house and went out, started knocking doors, and managed to do like over $100,000 in 1 year, all construction. And then, like you said, 2021, we started to come out of the pandemic. So then we started to re-engage our client base. But at this point, I would say, yes, we had some existing relationships. It was still very hesitant here. There wasn't going on mad recruitment drives. So, and actually, a lot of the business that we found was being thrown around, like Gemma mentioned earlier, was cheap. People were like pulling their trousers down just to get, like cutting fees. And, the one thing that I've said to Gemma, I said, I'd rather go bankrupt than do things and be skint. Like, we offer a premium service and we do things properly. Like, we're not cutting our fees. And I think that stood us in really good stead over the last 4 years. So actually, although most of the industry had massive growth in 2021, like we've seen that in the last 2 years. So we put the right foundations in place and set out our kind of morals as a business, and we just don't move away from them. Yes, you have to be agile with certain clients and tailor solutions and stuff like that. But also, like, I feel like it's about knowing your worth, because you get people trying to negotiate fees with you every time you go to a meeting. So I think having that, and going back to your question that you asked Gemma about what she brought to the business, Sean, I would say that what she brought is like just a really ambitious kind of vision, but also a really safe pair of hands that I could entrust on. And for me, it was like invaluable, because actually, Gemma, you'll probably agree, like I am 100 miles per hour and I'm a bit of a tornado, but I can touch things and turn them to gold, but I leave a big mess behind me. And actually, sometimes I was making really rash decisions. Like Gemma said, when she came into the business, I think only 20% of our clients had signed terms. I was like, yeah, but I know him, and we've shook hands. Like,
I'm interrupting today's episode to talk about our sponsor, Atlas Recruitment CRM. Admin is a massive waste of time for recruiters. And that's why Atlas, the world's first AI-first recruitment platform, is built for modern agencies who don't want to do it. It doesn't only track CVs and calls. It remembers everything. Every email, every interview, every conversation. Instantly searchable, always available, and now it's entering a whole new era. With Atlas 2.0, you can ask anything and it'll deliver. With magic search functionality, you speak to it and it listens. It finds the right candidates using real conversations, not simply look up for keywords. For me, this would be massive because I spend most of my time talking to my CRMs, talking to my emails. I'm just better with voice. Probably why I got into recruitment in the first place. Now, Atlas 2.0 also makes BD easier than ever because they've got an opportunity section where you can track, manage, and grow client relationships powered by generative AI and built right into your workflow. If you need insights and reports, they've got custom dashboards that give you total visibility over your pipeline. And that's not theory. Atlas customers have reported up to 41% EBITDA growth and an 85% increase in monthly billings after adopting the platform. So there's no admin, there's no silos, there's no lost info, nothing but faster shortlists, better hires, and more time to focus on what actually drives revenue. Atlas is your personal AI partner for modern recruiting. Now, don't miss the future of recruitment. Get started with Atlas today and unlock your exclusive RAG listener offer at www.recruitwithatlas.com/the RAG. All right, let's get back to the show.
Without knowing you that well, I can see the kind of business you were running.
Yeah.
And I genuinely do see a pair of flip-flops under the desk. Like, that's the kind of business I see. But that, and I know loads of people running without CRMs, without contracts. It's just making people 100K a year and it's fine, but it's not a business, is it? You're running a desk that's self-employed, and
100%.
it's very hard to replicate that. Yeah. You can't hire 3 more people and go, let's just do this. It doesn't work. That does not work. You need processes, you need procedure, you need a way of working. And again, so Gemma, what you're saying is you're actually not necessarily the detailed process person either, probably a little bit more than Chris, but together you've been able to create enough energy in the first year and then build around you two, right?
Yeah.
Essentially,
The detail, we definitely are detail, probably too much. And a recent trainer that we've kind of embarked on a 12-month journey with, he said to us, you guys have set the bar like so high. Your standards, your attention to detail, the quality, everything is, you don't realize how high you've set it, which is probably why you, I mean,
can you explain that? Because people listening are going to go, well, what do you mean?
Yeah. So for example, we have, he sat in and there was a young lady that was awarded our most valuable player, and she billed, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think, what did she bill? I think she had a 50K quarter, Chris?
53K she done
53K. She's not even
second quarter.
Yeah.
She's never worked. She come from a retail background.
Retail background, psychology degree, good stock, good values, good morals, wants to learn, open to development. And he said, do you know that I train people that have got really experienced consultants and they just can't do 50K quarters like that. For an example, sometimes our expectations are super high, but you know what, we give a lot, but
let's break that down, right? So the standard is high, the performance there is strong, but what have you done? That's the bit that, I mean, it's a big question, but
yeah, really good
standards
question.
have you got in the first 6 months that means she's hit 50K quarter? Like, what have you actually done?
When we both started the business, and we've never really come away from it, it's only been, I would say, in the last 12 months that Chris and I have actually stopped billing ourselves. And when we started the business, we didn't chase the fee, as we said to you. What we did was took everything from here and detailed it into a blueprinted, almost a playbook that we knew was scalable, because we knew that the bar was set so high that as we grew, we'd dilute that potentially. And we didn't want to risk doing that. The risk of doing that for us was far greater than, starting up from scratch. We didn't want to dilute what we stood for because it's really hard to reverse that, basically. So we blueprinted every part of the process. There was literally and it is painful being around Chris and I, because there's no such thing as no. Don't tell me you can't do it. We're in a service industry. When we go out and people give us good service, we love it. But you can tell from a mile off, there's it's a dying art. It really is. And we're not going to sit by and let that happen to our business. And it's about understanding from the moment you're interviewing someone, really, what does that look like for them? How much are they going to challenge the status quo? How are they pushed back? Are they just going to be a yes man? Will they just say, no, we can't do that? Well, why not? Well, because that's the way we've always done it at Mixos, really. no, find a way. There's always a way. We wanted it to be easy to do business with, very kind of straight down the line, no hidden agendas. We've got a financial guarantee that absolutely smashes it out of the park that we've had from day one, but we couldn't offer that if we didn't do everything we said we were doing behind the scenes. We just couldn't do it. It wouldn't be sustainable. So because of that, everyone, it doesn't matter whether you were working with someone from our delivery team or someone from our 360 team or someone from our temp team, you would get exactly the same experience. But in fact, we airdropped our permanent hiring processes into the temp division. And again, we're not ticking boxes here. We're not like, have you got a hard hat? Have you got safety boots? Can you get to blah, blah, blah? Brilliant. You've got arms and legs, off you go. That's not how we work. So we much rather seek out the businesses that then mirror our way of working, that sort of share our values and standards and service in that respect, and actually value what a good recruitment partner looks like, rather than having a scattergun approach, trying to be everything to everyone. We'd rather...
Because you're geographically centered, you can actually offer a different type. Like, you can offer a face-to-face service. You can offer things, most businesses don't want to offer anymore, but can't offer because of the nature of the geography of how they operate. Do you still meet a lot of your candidates face-to-face and stuff? Yeah.
Well, we meet all of our clients face-to-face, and we won't take on a job briefing just by being sent a job description. And actually, we've won business off the back of it. The client said, I kind of lightly pushed back and said, no, I'm not working on this job until we meet. And it's nice, it's refreshing. So we meet with everyone. Every single new client will go on site. We'll see the place where the person will be working. We'll have a tour. We'll have a thorough briefing, get under the skin of the role, the culture, what's important, the company vision, all of those things. Then we can bring it to life with the candidate, because all of our consultants are having a 3-step process with the candidate before they even meet with our clients. It's not just a quick one and done call or a couple of LinkedIn messages and quick race to the bottom. Most of our relationships are exclusive as well, Sean. So it takes away that race to the bottom kind of feeling, so the team can focus on the quality and do things right, take a little bit more time, but know that they are going to make a good placement out at the end of it. It's all about long-term relationships with us. So rather have less clients, but lock them in, have a better relationship, than just keep churning and chasing the buck.
I had a client meeting this morning that summarizes it quite nicely. There's a new client, never met with them before. Sat down in the meeting room. The meeting room was separate to the office, and had a really good chat, agreed commercials. She was happy, and then said, right, you know the job then? I was like, sorry? She was like, well, I told you it's the job title and the salary, and, if you send CV throughs. I was like, no way. And she was like, sorry? I was like, no way. I've just met you like 15 minutes ago. Like, I haven't seen the office. I don't know your team. I don't know the structures. I don't know the departments. I don't know the vision for the business. I don't know. There's no way that I can start preaching now. She just looked at me like I was an alien. I was like, the minimum expectation from me is like, if you want to work with us, and she was like, yeah, but you're more expensive than the other agencies. I said, yeah, exactly, because you'll send a job description to them, they'll just start working on it. I was like, there's no way that we can work on that. I was like, you need to meet me and meet my consultant that's going to work on the job. We're going to do a thorough job brief. We're going to turn it inside out, upside down, the good, the bad, the ugly, so we can manage expectations from a candidate's starting point through to when they start, through to induction. She just looked at me like, this guy is crazy. And then when we were about to leave, I was like, can you show me around the office? She was like, well, not really. And I was like, I can't. I said, well, we can't work with you then. And she was just like, what? I was like, well, how am I meant to tell my consultant that's going to be working on the job about your office and about your environment and to talk to the candidates if you can't show, why can't you show me it? She was like, well, they're busy. I was like, well, let's just walk up the aisle and walk back down. Like, you don't have to say anything. Just let me see it. And then afterwards, like, she's come back today and like this afternoon said, Chris, I've never been with someone that was so detailed. And I was thinking, mate, I feel like we've only done 60%. Like, normally I'd be much more detailed. And I was like, so yeah, I think that, one of the things you talked about, like the detail and that side of things, I would say, like, is Gemma and I, we do sweatsoul stuff, and it's about, ensuring that we give the highest level of service. We talk about service all the time, and what is service? It's not, you can't touch it, you can't smell it. It's a feeling, right? And you're as good as that last feeling that you give someone. So like, we lost a job the other day, and it was the only job we lost the whole month. And that is the only thing I could think about. I was gutted. It was like someone had stuck a knife in me And listen, we done good revenue last month, but I remember that one job. How do we want that? And 99% of the world will say, well, it was the client, it was that. And I'm not here for that. What could we do better? How can we, don't forget the client, forget the candidates, what could we do better before we project outwards as to what?
Yeah, it's free. Take ownership first. I get it. So you made an interesting point. Like last year was the first time you guys stepped off the tools, right? So talk me through that decision. So end of 2024, you're 4 years into working together. 3 years in. Is it 3? 4? 4 years in.
3.5, 4 years. So
yeah. So what's happening there? Why and how have you come to that conclusion?
So Gemma and I had obviously built a really good reputation in terms of like bringing new clients on. And what we'd done is we'd almost built a delivery team underneath us. So we had Gemma and I who was selling, winning new clients, and then we was transitioning them into the delivery team who was account managing and servicing the roles as such. And just like the more roles we were bringing on, the more clients, Gemma and I were quickly like we're doing all the sales. Like we're going to hit a ceiling right now. Like if we don't start changing our model. And then that's when Debbie Decodogo, she's got, 20 years worth of experience in the recruitment market. She's worked for likes of Office Angels and Wild and built really successful operations. She dropped into Tim's DMs and was like, I heard of Somnium and I thought you guys would just go away, but all the clients don't stop talking about you. And I was like, no way. I was like, DM her back. And she was like, say what? I say, do you want a coffee?
No, we were Mixos. We were Mixos at the time. Because we went through this big rebrand and we didn't do it by halves either, Sean. Like every detail was thought through, and it was literally like from the rebrand to the colours to what it looked like to how we were going to communicate it, like the external language, the internal piece. Everything was really well thought through. And all of a sudden it was bosh all over socials. And then where we'd worked our whole however many years leading up to that point, like we were like, why people don't know us? Who wants to come and work for us? People don't really know us. And all of a sudden it was like people were coming to our door. And then it was about us. So this is where Jamie was saying, you guys set the bar high, because actually most of our workforce, not all, but most of our workforce homegrown. So no preconceived ideas, no habits, the market's really bad. The ones that we have taken on with experience are the best of the best. And they're amazing at what they do. But even they, to a degree, are like, I can't believe you two take it so badly when you lose a job. And we're like, yeah, because we don't. Like, we work hard to get the jobs. You don't just lose them like that. There's got to be something in there that we could have done better. It's not someone else's fault.
So if we look at late last year, then you said you two are doing all the sales. So you were
so
you're doing all the new business, bringing the jobs in, and then your team behind you are filling the work. And are you still managing the client relationship and the process of interviews and everything? Like, you're the face and someone else is behind.
I wouldn't say the interview process and that side of things. I would say that we were still the face of the account.
But someone else is taking the end-to-end once you've brought the work through. Right, okay.
So delivery team, were you into them accounts now?
What numbers is that? And how many people are delivering, and what numbers were you generating at that point?
Well, at that point, we was probably around 7 or 8, I would believe. About 7 or 8 total, maybe 9, instead of 8, 9, something like that. And I think...
Is there any like operational people there that are not recruiting?
Yeah, one was at the time, yeah. So, and obviously Gemma and I, although we was bringing business, we wasn't delivering the business. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was then. But just going back to what you said, the hardest part of the transition, I think, was the letting go fully of the clients, because you know that you've worked for 2, 3, like some of our biggest clients now, I was targeting when I started 7 years ago, the business, and we only won them after 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And that's some of our best clients now. So that transition and letting go was probably...
When you said, you mentioned that you knew there was going to be a capacity point, right? So what were you billing? What was the financial numbers? Can you remember at the end of last year that you were triggering like this? We're not going to beat this if we stay just a 2.
Yeah, I think net. So what, turnover or net fee income?
No, net fee income.
Net fee income, I think, was about 700.
Right.
Give or take. That's rough off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It's about 700K. And it was like, we had really good people like billing, but actually Gemma and I, bearing in mind, like we're still transitioning as a business in terms of getting the foundations, getting the process, CRM, everything. And that's still an ever ongoing piece of the jigsaw that we're working on. So not only was doing that, you're still trying to win new business. And if the shit hits the fan with a client, you know,
Everything else goes.
pick them up kind of thing. So we were juggling a million different things. So we just knew that it wasn't sustainable. And actually, we've now created a sales team, and it's changed everything, hasn't it, Gemma, pretty quickly.
Yeah. And if we're really honest as well, Sean, we had one stable temp desk at the time that absolutely smashed out of the park. We won a large account, and it was amazing. And then we had a lot of our billings were tied up into 2 long-standing members of staff, which we knew was a very vulnerable place to be. You had one huge account with a few smaller accounts on temp, and then you had pretty much 2 long-standing people that were billing a lot of the revenue. And we knew we needed to probably, and this is where Jamie's saying, your billers are high billers. That doesn't happen this day and age. Lucky to scrape like 150, 200K, but like it's doable. If it's not like, I find the whole rat race thing, get as many jobs on as possible, as little detail as possible, and everyone's a scattergun approach, and no one really is doing a good job. If you follow a thorough process end to end, and also someone's winning that business and handed it on your lap, really you can't go wrong. So we just did things, I would say, in reverse to how I was trained and brought up into the recruitment world. It was all about detail, all about people, less about KPIs, less about financials in the beginning. And now, like Chris said, we've built a sales team, and there's a few things that we've implemented recently that have absolutely changed the game for us. One of them is building a community. We've been doing it silently in the background without realizing it, but we've uniformed it now. We've got 350 to 400 local HR and talent professionals. Not anyone coming through the door. These are targeted people that are decision makers, that talk the language, that see what, you know, a recruitment partner can bring to the organization. Like, we're an extension to them, and we're doing it complementary. We've dropped the podcast recently. We're on season 1. So we're bringing people through the door and having, you know, they're seeing our space. We haven't just hired a space. We're not, you know, it's downstairs. So they're coming in, they're getting the full shebang from Debbie, our operations director. They see the team, they get to speak, you know, they see where Chris is. They see where it all happens, what goes on behind the scenes. There's no hidden agendas. And the conversations that are created are mad, because you don't get that on that level of conversation, phone bashing. To a degree, yes, you need to make qualification calls. You need to understand your market. You need to start somewhere. You need to make the calls. But the beauty and the magic really happens in the face-to-face door knocking, the community building. Like, it's been so game-changing for us to just take that upper level.
So let's break that down then now. So what is the sales team? How many people are in that team?
So currently we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7.
7 or 8.
So 7 people that are dedicated to new business. That's all their job is, to win clients.
Yeah, the 8th is just coming back from maternity, yeah.
Right.
To win, but also grow their own desks. They're 360.
They'll service their people that they bring on.
Oh, so they're not just salespeople; they're recruiters as well.
Yeah, because they're building scratch desks.
Yeah,
they're building scratch.
So when have you got like a trigger that they do a certain amount of business with an account before it gets passed on to a delivery function as a key account?
No, not this, because we're so early stages. I mean, team up there of what, you know, all of them, touch wood, thankfully, and most of them, that's only been created in 5 months. 4 months. The longest one out of them has been here 4 months, apart from one. And the one on maternity. So actually 5 of them. 5 of them would have been here 4 months or less, and all of them brought on a new client and fulfilled a position at premium rates exclusively the way that Mixos works. So, and that has been, you know, it's been great for Gemma and I to see, because actually they're following the process in terms of kind of the sales cycle that we work to, and that's a mixture of everything. We're not a one size fits all. I mean, I'm from the day, Sean, I've listened to your podcast before, where it's that 250 calls a day, you know, smash the phones. I'm not gonna lie, I still love getting on the phones. I absolutely love it. I get on the phones and just have good conversations with people. Gemma you don't really get on the phones, do you, Gemma? You're more
I'll go out and door knock with, like I say to the team, line them up. Let's go out for a whole day. that is cold calling, and that is putting your neck on the line even more than picking up a phone.
Oh.
You can kind of hide behind a phone, really, can't you? Right. And also, you're just another annoying voice to a lot of people, unless you've got that ability to snap someone in
What
5
thing in
seconds.
2025? Do you think 25, 26 though? Like that's going to be even more powerful, being able to go and knock on a door.
I do, but
100%.
I think also like the one thing I will say is like Gemma's done some amazing stuff with our social media kind of presence. Because, for example, funny story, I went to a networking event the other day and I didn't really know anyone there, because I've been given my own geographical patch now. I'm not they've shipped me off to Luton and Bedford to keep me out of the way, I think. But anyway, so I went to this event in Milton Keynes and turned up and I started talking to this guy, a really nice guy, owns a business. He's like, oh yeah, like blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, amazing. Like just having a general chat. He didn't know who I was, where I was from. He's like, go, I'm desperate for salespeople. I was like, no way. I was like, oh, I work for Mixos. And it's like, Mixos? I know you guys. You guys are on LinkedIn. Is there a blonde lady that works there? And I was like, yeah, that's my wife. And he's like, no way. And he's like, oh, how long have you worked there? I was like, well, I'm actually the owner. Like, and he's like, wow, that's amazing. And I was like, do you know what? I come home and I said to Jem, I said, fuck,
It works.
But then another time, Sean, there's a client that I've been calling for ages. I managed to get a meeting, went down there, picked up free roles exclusively. I was like, yeah, I'm the dog's bollocks, right? I'm going back to the office, like free roles, exclusive, premium fee. As I was about to leave, I said to the hiring manager, I said, who's that? And she said, oh, that's the CEO. And I was like, can I speak to him? And she was like, oh, he's a bit busy. I said, it's all right, just let me knock the door. So I just knocked the door. Went in, I was like, oh, you're right, mate. My name's Chris. I'm from Mixos, blah, blah, blah. I said, I know that you reached out to us. I was like, out of curiosity, like, why did you give us these roles? Thinking like, obviously, I've been winging them for months. They were like, oh, Gemma puts out some great content on LinkedIn. I was like, no way. I was like, no way. I was fuming. But I was like, talking to the voice to tell her, actually. I didn't tell her. I was like, fuck, now I'll go back and be like, oh yeah, Jem, the reason you got the job is because of you. And obviously, you know.
But what if we say that obviously that feeds into what I do for a living, right? Is I teach people how to do this. Gemma, I'm not going to claim I've worked with you because I haven't. You've done an incredible job of doing it yourself. How would you describe the impact of getting the brand right on LinkedIn has had on, like, because people think it's like you put a post up and suddenly your phone's ringing. It doesn't work quite that way. We wish it did.
Yeah.
How would you describe the impact investing consistently on LinkedIn has had?
Yeah, it's wild. I would say I instantly thought it was a load of tosh, and I said, I don't work in beauty or fitness. I'm not a content creator. Like this is crap. No one cares what recruiters have got to say on LinkedIn. They just don't, right? But I started doing it, and I don't do things by half, and I obsess about things. So I started obsessively, every time I like wake up in the middle of the night, it's actually jarring, or I'd be driving and I'd think of something, or I'd be on the treadmill and I'd just write it in my notes. So everything comes from my heart. Like I don't block out content creation time and think, right, because if you sit me in a room and go write content, my brain will just go zoom, like that. So I have to write the ideas down. It's when I'm coming out of client meetings, when I hear the team talking about frustrations, when I'm speaking to candidates about how they're finding their job search. All of it comes from there, really. How has it impacted our business? Like way beyond what I ever envisaged. And it is really hard to track the ROI because the amount of clients I sit in front of and say, I love seeing your content. It's raw, like it touched a nerve. There was things on there that I felt like you just written to me. I would never have known that. These people never like it. They never engage on it. They've never told me that before. And then the girls, it's like I'm warming their client base up because they're doing cold calling, going in there and sitting in front of them. But they're already warm to Mixos. They already trust us. They already see me fannying about on LinkedIn.
It's like this podcast, the amount of people that who come to us through other channels and then they're like, oh yeah, I've been listening for 4 years. I'm like, okay, that helps. Because they're like, you're a known entity. And when you guys have such a clear brand and such a clear location, you know, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to suddenly flip and do like, you know, we're just working all over London and Manchester. Like you're really clear on where you are.
Yeah.
Then you can look long term and think, well, we're laying foundation. Everyone else is just banging the phone. We're laying a different level of foundations.
Yeah.
Like,
Gemma like has really lent into it, and I've almost lent out of it. Not on purpose, just Gemma's kind of taken the baton and run with it. And she's done a great job. But, you know, there's multiple clients where this has happened, where they've become aware of us before they've used us like 6 months, a year in advance. So like the last 30 months, although you can't put an exact number on it, I would say that it's a decent sized amount that we've had.
But you know what? The thing I love about what I do is I work with people like you guys that are traditionally trained who are very good at the job first.
Yeah.
Like, I actually don't typically work. I don't want to work with like a rookie recruiter that doesn't know the job, who hasn't got the training you've got given them on the phone, because LinkedIn can be a place where you waste a lot of time. Content can be a place where it just distracts you, right? It can be. There's no doubt. I agree with that. But when you know what you're doing anyway, when you've already got those skills, when you can pick up the phone, when you can go on that meeting, when you can influence with passion, it takes you to another level. Now, Chris, you're just like my business partner, Amma, right? Amma owns on my business, and for 5 years hasn't posted jack shit on LinkedIn, right? But in the last 2 years, we've been working on him, and we've been working on systems and processes. And since we've really cracked AI from a content perspective, he's doubled down on it. We made over 700 grand last year from Amma's LinkedIn account, and we do track it. So like 700 grand from one account with 11,000 followers that we weren't tapping into because of his, I'll let Sean do it. That was the mindset. I'll let Sean do it. Yeah. Now,
he's calling you out, Chris.
I was doing pretty well, but the impact you can have together is bigger. So here's where there's a couple of things I want to dabble on before we finish. We've not got too much left of time. First question is, where are you going? Like, what's the vision now? Because you are in an interesting place. You're not off the tools, like you're still selling, right? You're not necessarily holding the baby in the client base you had. You're going out and doing new things, and you got the podcast, you got the community. Like, you're very commercial and outwardly facing. You're not like two operational CEOs.
No.
So where are you going? Where's the future of North Star Vision? That's the first question. The second question is, how do you think the economics and AI and the changes in the workforce in the world is going to affect what you do? But let's start with your vision first.
Shall I go, Jem, or do you want to go?
Go for it.
Okay, so the first question around where are we going now? I think, did you have Chris Peace on last week? Was it you or was it someone else?
Not last week. I've had him in the past, though.
Yeah, I think I listened to that episode. So we actually work with the Impact Board. We've been away from them guys now for 6 months. Yeah. And it's been like game changer for Gemma and I, because we're both bloody good at what we do, but never really been able to kind of put a finish line at the end and know where we want to get to. And I think, to be able to put the right infrastructures in place and the right foundations to kind of springboard us to that next stage of growth is amazing. And I think, although we don't know exactly what that looks like, we kind of know what it looks like. And that is to help and connect as many people as possible within our 3 geographical locations and towns and cities that we're really passionate about within our local area, from placing candidates to helping ambitious business owners bring their vision to reality while giving them fantastic people, but also supporting the charities in the community. And I know that sounds really fucking cheesy, but it's something that Gemma and I are both really passionate about. Yes,
I don't think it goes
back in that.
I like it. I think in a nice proper way, right? There's people recruiting, I don't know, mechanical engineers on the East Coast of America from Basingstoke making $1 million a year, right? It's happening. I know these people, but they're not passionate about it. They don't give a shit about that industry or that location. They're just very good at it and they make a lot of money. You guys are like you're building businesses, building careers, building communities where you're from. I think that's brilliant. I think that's absolutely amazing. Yeah. Now, does that look like, and I'm not holding you to this and saying, you got to commit to it, but does it look like building a company that you two can sell and you can step away from, or a management buyout, or what?
Do you know what? It's something that we've not fully put thought to. I just think that I love it too much.
This is what I was going to say. I'll be honest. I think you two have got too much energy and you're too good a team. You'll only sell it and do it again.
Yeah, I think because we've built something that we're so passionate about and we love, and actually, like, we've got an amazing team. Like, a big shout out to our team upstairs. We've got a cracking group of women up there, because our whole team's all women apart from me. We're all women, which is, again, goes against industry's trends, but we've got 14 women and me. So, and I'm probably the biggest diva in here. So, but no, we've got a really good team, a really good brand, a really good business, and we're passionate about it. So, and we're still young enough. I know Gemma's probably thinking, piss off, mate. I want to go and lay on the beach somewhere, but she does her best at booking holidays. So now we've got energy.
But again, do you need to be running at the same speed? No. If you've got the pillars in place, marketing, sales, operations, delivery, if it's all in place, I always tell this story about a guy I met in America who was driving an Uber, and he was 92 years old driving an Uber. Right, I've never seen I saw this guy, his hands were the oldest hands I've ever seen on a steering wheel. I had to ask him, because I'm like you, Chris. I'll be like, "Can I just ask you a question?" He's like, "What?" I said, "How old are you?" He was like, 92 years old. And I was like, "Why the hell are you driving an Uber around LA at the age of 92? And essentially, he sold a real estate agency, like a real estate agency across a branch chain network for $300 million when he was in his 60s. And he said he had the most incredible life, and he still does, but all of his mates are dead, every single one of them. And his wife was still alive, was cooking his pot roast while he was driving me around LA. And he said he wishes he'd never sold his company, because now he's driving Uber to have connection to people, whereas he could have been a chairman in his business. He could have still had a connection to the industry that he made his money from. And I'm not saying we shouldn't sell, but it's not always grass is greener. Like, it's like what we have, what we've built, what we're connected to. Like, people always say to me, "You're going to sell Hoxo?" I'm like, one, right now, it's not even ready for that. Two, I'd have to find something else I was passionate about. And right now, I've not got those ideas.
I think that Gemma already does a lot of stuff with like coaching and mentoring and stuff like that. And there's so many amazing things. Getting really bad feedback. Is that from you, Gemma?
No, it's your quality of sound. I love the way he just blames me all the time, Sean. He does it off air and on air, doesn't he?
Yeah, we are. Behave. But going back to what I said, there's so many like great things like locally that people are doing that maybe don't get the financial backing or the help and support that they need and stuff like that. Like, we've got some amazing charities that we work with that we really love around here. So, as the business grows and scales and we get the right people in the right seats and it keeps kind of growing, I'm sure there'll be a lot more time freed up for us to do that. Like I said earlier, Gemma loves a vacation, so we go on holiday quite a lot. So I'm sure she'll be looking to do that a lot more as in the coming years and stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't say we've got like an actual like, oh, this is where we want to be or this is where we want to go. We just know that we want to help as many people as possible. What that looks like depends on that person, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a candidate, whether it's a local charity, whatever that might look like.
And okay, and then in terms of the disruption, and like, we are living in a world where we don't know what next year looks like. We don't know what 2 years looks like. Like, how much has it impacted what you guys recruit?
Oh no, I think it has in a positive light, because the one thing that we are really good at and have been is humanizing the whole. We're not transactional, and I think the recruitment firms that are transactional are probably the ones that are going to be hit hard. We are almost future-proofing the roles of the consultants out there so that they can absolutely elevate their conversations that they're having with clients, with candidates. Like, the clients see the worth in going to Mixos, because if they wanted a CV service or they wanted to use AI, then they can at a lot cheaper price. But it's that kind of level of detail that we're given in the conversations, the relationships. We're doing a lot of work in training the team around transactional versus like top tier premium consultative service. And I think that's where, it's certainly been game changing for Chris and I in developing what we do and looking at the tech stack and how it's aiding us day to day. But also, we've rolled out a few things already within the organization. I don't know if we can shout out things on here, so I won't. But we've got a good CRM that we use, and we use Bullhorn Insights, which is the best. We pretty much demoed, in my opinion, the best. With Chris done all the demo, and he's probably sitting there thinking, "Well, you're chatting shit, Jen, because you don't do any of the tech stuff." But I hear our people talking. I know how good it is. Deb raves about it all the time, our operations director. We've also got a CV formatting like AI piece of kit that we use as well, which is again, so it's freeing up big chunks of time where consultants are spending doing stuff when they could be giving value back all
I
the
think that's the
time.
bit you've got to lean into. I think genuinely, like, there's no doubt in the next couple of years, like, every internal business is going to have the capability to find candidates and interact with candidates at speed that you've never seen before. They're not going to be, but it's a bit like when LinkedIn came around. Like, everyone was like, "Oh, well, we need recruiters. We've got LinkedIn now." The thing that I think if you look at a candidate getting X amount of messages now from recruiters and from in-house teams, it's going to go through the roof. So it's actually going to be about the quality of the salesperson, the quality to get the response. Like, the fact is, Gemma, if people recognize you like they recognize you, they're going to reply. And actually getting the reply in the next 5 years is going to be that's what people are going to pay for. Yeah, it's like, why do you use a certain football agent? Why did Man City go for a certain agent to get a certain player? Because they've got the book of it, they've got the candidate, they've got the ear of the top talent. Like, it's the same thing. Like, they're going to be like, you get the replies off the industry, not AI is just going to, it's going to get better and better and better. But I really think about the quality of the people behind it.
On that note as well, Sean, I have noticed over the last few months that the TA industry is really getting hit hard. I think we came out of this global pandemic and everyone went mad for internal talent teams, and it was all about, get the teams in and try and eradicate agency use. I think we see TA as like an extension, and we can just offer them the value. And we have got a lot of TA teams that we support, but I'm seeing the TA market now struggle. People are getting made redundant, or they're leaving and they can't find something to go to. So I don't know if there's a big shift with organizations internally now where they're just trying to go down the tech AI route, but then have the recruitment specialist for like your niche, hard to fill roles. But yeah, I'm feeling this real sort of sense of stiffness in TA, and there's not a lot of movement and opportunities coming out, which is quite an interesting one.
People are gonna think like, we can save a lot of money by reducing the team and using AI, but we're yet to see the result of that. Like, Klarna did it. Klarna, they split payments for financing. They got rid of something like 2,000 employees, and from an AI perspective, and they called it Klarmageddon because it just completely ripped their business apart, and they had to backtrack it and go and hire again. And I'm not saying it won't work, because I think AI is going to be better than we all expect. I think it's going to blow our minds, but I still believe, I believe that the way it's heading is actually recruitment agencies that are niche, because you can offer a different option to a candidate than an internal. They can only offer one company. You can offer the market. As long as you're using AI and you're maximizing the brands of your people, I think they're the two things that we're going to work out.
So my 2 pennies worth on it is, feel like in the UK as a society, it's like we like to always think the worst, and it's like everything's so negative, and it's like, I'm just like, shit, man, let's just roll with the punches. Like, AI is here, it's not going anywhere. The more you lean out, the more you're going to get left behind, right? So for us, it's like, cool, like, it's going to change it, it's going to enhance it, it's going to do whatever. Like, Gemma and I just got to be, close enough to it to know what's going on, so we can be agile enough to change and move with it. Like, it doesn't scare me, it doesn't worry me. Like, if anything, it's just going to make us even better, right? So, there's always going to be things that will happen in the business. Gemma mentioned it earlier. We had a client, we basically had all our eggs in one basket, right? Dropped off the face of the earth, and we were like, shit, what are we going to do? And then we just replaced it with 5 other accounts, and it was like, Jesus, how did we do that? And it's exactly this. I use that bidding stuff. What's that? I think it's just be a good thing.
I think you've got the right attitude. At the end of the day, you can only control what you can control.
Oh,
that's it. Like, even the pandemic, right? The thing about AI that I do, the fact that we were into the pandemic, no one would have told you. I remember doing a podcast on the day 2 days before we shut the office, going like, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Like, the reality is we were blind. We were absolutely never going to expect what happened. So I don't think I'll ever go to the point where I'm like, I'll be fine. I don't have that. I think it's naive, but I also know I can only control what I can control. I can only look at my business and my life and my family and control what's in. I'm not, in Trump's administration looking at the fucking geopolitical landscape.
100%.
Stop pretending I am and just focus on what I can control. So, guys, I want to say well done first and foremost. I can see why it works because of the energy between you two, and I think we could have a whole second episode just on how to run a business with your partner, but we'll save that another time. If anyone's listened and just wants to reach out to you, whether it be about, that dynamic or the way that you've built. I think one thing that people are going to listen to and go, well, what is their training methodology? How are they getting rookies up to 50K quarters in 2 months, like 2 quarters? Like, if anyone wants to just pick your brains, are you okay with them reaching out on LinkedIn?
100%. I'm massive on let's collaborate. I do feel like there's a little bit of a gap in the industry to do a bit more of that. I think we've found little pockets of people that are willing and open, but there's still room to grow. So I'm all ears and open to anyone that wants to pick our brain.
It's like your community, right? In the local, to me, recruitment changed my life. It's the same thing. Recruitment changed my life. I believe together this industry stronger. I think if we can bring everyone together, you can compete out there, but we can, you can give 99% of your business model away. People still won't use it most of the time.
No, they won't be consistent, will they? It's not sustainable.
No.
Someone can try and mimic you, but they wouldn't be able to sustain it.
If you learn one thing and it helps them, then that's why I do this every week. If one person benefits from one thing we've said, then it was worth the time.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much. And we will get you back on in the future to discuss the development of Mixos, okay?
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks again for listening to today's episode of the RAG podcast. If you haven't already, please do subscribe wherever you listen to this show. As the more subscribers we get, the more people will listen and the more recruitment owners we can help. As a recruitment founder, you must know that things are changing. AI is everywhere. Cold outreach is getting harder and job boards, well, they're not what they used to be. But personally, despite the negativity, I believe the future is the greatest opportunity of our lifetime in recruitment, because for the first time ever, a founder with 5 recruiters with a clear niche and the right systems can build the kind of influence, reach, and profitability that used to take 500 recruiters and a global office network. The agencies that are winning right now aren't necessarily the biggest, but they are the most visible, the most trusted, and the ones building inbound demand. At Hoxo, we're working with clients who are running multiple 6 and 7 figures in net profit, outperforming the negative noise and headlines. So, to explain what these guys are doing, I've created a brand new free masterclass video for RAG listeners. In this video, it's less than 10 minutes long. I'm going to show you what these businesses are doing differently from the rest. So the link's in the description. Fill in the form, watch the video, and see exactly how this system that these clients are using could work for your agency. Good luck.